Right now, if a human worker does, $50,000 worth of work in a factory, that income is taxed. If a robot comes in to do the same thing, you'd think that we'd tax the robot at a similar level.
Hello and welcome to the channel. Now, if you're a little confused by what Bill Gates just said, I'm going to dumb it down so that any half-wit can understand and actually comprehend what point Bill Gates is actually trying to make here. First off, you can't tax a robot.
I had a feeling it was too good to be true.
You can only tax the company or the persons that own the robot. Because robots don't just materialize out of thin air. Someone has to build them, therefore making the manufacturer of the robot the owner. And just like if a dog landed an acting job on TV and therefore was entitled to some money as payment for the job, the money doesn't go to the dog. It goes to the owner of the dog, because the dog doesn't know what money is or how to use it. This also means the owner is responsible for paying taxes on whatever income is earned via the dog, the robot, or the house, or whatever. So now that we've covered that part, just what is it that Bill Gates is actually suggesting? A person has a job at a company. The company pays the person $50,000 per year to perform that job. The person then pays 28%, or whatever your country makes you pay in income tax, to the government as per the law. But now the company decides it's going to invest money into building or purchasing robots, which can perform that job instead and replace the human, thus saving the company $50,000 per year, which was the cost of paying the human. After the company has paid off the cost of building or purchasing the robots, of course. So what's the problem? Other than the fact that some people are going to have to find a new job.
Like the Guardians!
Well, the government is no longer collecting its 28% of all of these $50,000 per year incomes, which had previously existed. In summary, lost tax revenues, but higher profits for the company. At least that is what is being implied here in this video. So now we have to ask ourselves the question: should we make those who own and use robots for financial gain pay an extra tax? And the reason I say extra tax is because they already pay income tax on whatever sum of money they earn anyway. Well, there are some things we have to first consider before we form our opinion. Does it matter that there are lost tax revenues? Well, yes, because tax dollars pay for things such as the police, the fire department, social workers, and even the building of infrastructure. And many countries around the world are already in debt and plunging more and more into debt every day.
We cannot and will not sustain deficits like these without end.
So yeah, tax revenues are important.
Will you pledge today to somehow reduce taxes while simultaneously lowering the deficit?
Hey, that's a good idea, sure.
If it'll win me the election, then yes.
We have a saying up in Alaska. That's all.
Senator Travers?
Look, let's be honest here. No one likes taxes, but they pay for our basic needs. Roads, schools, defense. If we hope to realize our aspirations as a great planet, we must each pay our fair share to achieve those noble goals.
Except in this case, just how much tax revenues are really being lost if any at all. Because we do have to consider that the manufacturing and the maintenance of the robots themselves are actually going to create jobs. Now you could argue that the jobs they create won't outnumber the jobs they eliminate. However, we should assume that the employees who lost their jobs are actually going to find new jobs and start paying taxes again. Because like Bill Gates pointed out, there's plenty of things robots can't do, and that humans can do very well.
Reaching out to the elderly, having smaller class size, helping kids with special needs. All of those are things where human empathy and understanding are still very, very unique, and we still deal with an immense shortage of people to help out there.
Unless they really are complete idiots, incapable of learning new skills, and remain unemployed for the rest of their lives.
They took our job! They took our jobs!
In which case, yes, there would definitely be lost tax revenues.
But wait! There's more!
Technology has already been making jobs obsolete for decades. So is there any real evidence, based upon historical data, that shows a significant drop in tax revenues being collected? Well, let's take a look at a century of US federal income tax. Now, this big spike here was when Congress lowered the income threshold to capture income tax from ordinary wage earners during World War II. And since then, there hasn't been any major changes, with personal income tax revenues reaching 8.4% of the country's GDP in 2016, and are budgeted to reach 9.3% of GDP in 2020. Seems pretty optimistic to me. So basically, the vast change in technology over the years has practically done nothing to hinder the collection of income tax. Pretty much. So, the reality is, there are no robot companies. There are no lost tax revenues. Only more money for shareholders and wealthy people who can afford robots. Now you may say, well, what's the big deal if they have to pay an extra tax? Just like you pay for your car. But the thing is, those costs pay for the roads, the infrastructure, which you use as a motorist. Even the fart tax has a purpose. Livestock release methane gas when they belch or fart, which contributes to global warming. Therefore, the farmers who own the livestock are forced to pay a tax, which then goes towards research into reducing greenhouse gas emissions. But the robot tax, however, is a second tax for no specific reason, because the reason presented by Bill Gates,
But you can't just give up that income tax.
lost tax revenues, is bullshit. Let's just call it what it really is. A savings tax. Whenever you save money, the government loses out on tax dollars that would have existed had you not saved any money. Therefore,
Fuck you, pay me.
oh, and while we're at it, you know how you bought that hybrid, which saves you money on fuel costs?
Fuck you, pay me.
And you know how you got that solar panel installed, which saves you money on electricity every year?
Fuck you, pay me.
And you know that pair of shoes you got half price from that sale at Kmart?
Fuck you, pay me.
And voila! No more lost tax revenues. Because that makes perfect sense. And you do want to pay your fair share, don't you? And here's the best part of all, which I've saved for last. If you divide up $100 million of income amongst 2,000 employees in the form of salaries, in, say, New York, for example, the total amount of income tax revenue collected from those salaries is $21,080,960. But if it all went to, say, one person, for example, i.e. the business owner, because somehow they managed to replace all of their 2,000 employees with robots, therefore earning an extra $100 million for themselves. The total amount of tax dollars collected would be $48,114,367.66 due to the higher tax rate for wealthy people. So, in actual fact, replacing people with robots not only increases the amount of income tax being collected, it more than doubles it.
Thinking sucks.
Bill Gates for president.